to believe that anybody feels the way we do about our girls and all those courts we're traveling to, and all the roads we trace, all the states we see. We've been volleyball'd all so desperately. I said maybe we're gonna be the ones to cheer them on. We're lost in this volleyball.
All right, here we are. Chapter 10 of Volleyball'd. We've made it.
Double digits.
Double digits now. Now we did have a problem. Last week, we weren't able to podcast, but that's because we were building walls. So we've been working in our unfinished basement. We moved into this house in April, and we had been in our previous house for 15 years, and everything was finished. But when we moved into this one, well, one of the things that we recognized was, well, there's some walls that actually need to be made in this basement. And so I at some point, I'll have to describe this for the audience, but my office, which is in the basement, which doesn't look anything like my wife's office. It's bright. It's got this huge window. It's like very nice mahogany and gold. And mine is right next to a basement bathroom, and it actually got smaller from putting up walls.
And it has a cement backdrop. No big deal.
Yeah, looks like I've been kept in a cave, like I'm Tony Stark and Iron Man. I'm here against my will.
In the dungeon where you belong.
That's right. But so we had to build 4 walls, and so it was a total mess down here. So we didn't get around to it. There was no way. It was my father-in-law and my stepdad just yelling at one another all afternoon about which is your left from your right. Why can't you measure correctly? Now, they get along like this, but that's at no point was I thinking to myself, hey, let me go grab my wife and let's go do chapter 10 right now with these 2 yahoos.
That was the G-rated version. I heard them screaming at each other upstairs and thought we were going to have mediation going on.
And that was the other part about it. My stepdad, so he has a back issue that's been bothering him for the better part of like 2 years. And so he has to routinely get shots into his back and treatment. And one of the things that he did was he took a back medication. And so we're trying to work in the basement. You know, got the saws out, got the saw blades, got the nail gun. And the dude is all over the place mentally. We're like, dude, like, stop. Like, you got to take it down a notch. And so that's why there was all this yelling between my father-in-law and my stepdad, who was on his pain meds while trying to work with sharp equipment.
So what are we talking about today?
We were going to talk about, it's a discussion point that has come up in a lot of the forums, and we've been asked about it because we've been on both ends. But we wanted to talk today about the pros and cons of playing up. And what does that mean? That means that when you're playing against a different age group, typically when you're playing with older players, our daughters, just to give you a little bit of a background, my youngest is currently playing with our age group. Her age group is going to be 11s. She's with an 11-year-old team. My older daughter, our older daughter, is currently 14. She'll be 15 coming up, but she's playing with 16-year-olds. And so they've both had this experience. And so I guess I wanted to start really with our oldest, because when we got her over to, club ball, she was an 8-year-old who was turning 9. And that season was the COVID year. They didn't get to play as many tournaments as they wanted. But I just remember whether or not she was going to even want to do volleyball again because of the experience she had playing or being ignored by older girls.
Yeah, they were all older than her. And that's a challenge at a younger age, right? I mean, as they're going through middle school or even 4th and 5th grade, 1 year can make a huge difference in the types of conversations that these girls have around each other. And so it really comes down to just kid by kid, what works for you. Now, our oldest always has kind of been above her age group in terms of how she likes to socialize. We always say she talks to adults better than she talks to kids her own age. She just is able to do that. So no problem for her. So she ended up playing 10s when she was 9 and then played 11s twice. So basically 2 years in a row she played up, and it worked out just fine. Now we are back in the saddle where instead of playing 15, she's playing up with 16s. And while typically you would be like, oh, do you want her around 16-year-olds? They're already driving to practice. It's a huge difference. Honestly, now that they're in high school and they play together with, high school girls all the time, it's really not that much of a difference in my view. That might be different from club to club, city to city, but the girls that she's with right now, I feel, are completely on her wavelength. She can handle the competition at this level. And for her, at this club, playing on this team, she will get the type of competitive volleyball that she's been looking to play.
Well, I think this is the discussion point when I think about what happened her first couple of years. And like, you're right. So she plays on a 10s team. It was a pretty advanced team. And she was the tall, gangly girl who at times she didn't touch the court on Sundays ever. And a lot of the other girls kind of looked at her because they were much more experienced in the sport, almost like they didn't have time for her. Like, okay, she's that one. And so that experience, it is what it is. It was what it was, I guess, is actually technically the better way to put it. But the next year, when then she was 10 once again, and they played her on another 11-year-old team, that one was a good one for her, not because it was not a good team, but she got a chance to do something outside of just being a hitter. That was the year when they struggled defensively, and so they moved her to libero, and we're just like, you cover the court better than everybody else, go chase everything down. And I think that really set her up for the next 2 years when she was looking to play all the way around. But again, like the first year of her playing up, I didn't think that was really great. I think it was the next 2 years of her at least experiencing different positions.
Literally went from middle to libero to outside in 3 separate seasons, which is hilarious.
It was all what they needed.
That's what youth volleyball is.
Yeah, the coaches were looking around and saying, we need to score. You seem to be able to, so this is how we're going to play you. And I would say this, we'll see how this year turns out. But I know as far as my oldest, you're right. She gets the other girls, they're on the same wavelength. But then there's also that measurement where she's looking at other girls. I was talking with one of the other dads, and his daughter's very talented as a player. And he was shocked that my daughter was 14 because him and his daughter and her are at the same position and doing a lot of the same things on the floor. But my daughter's also looking at her teammate and going, well, she's a lot better than me. Hopefully I can get that good in a year. And so it's really about just the athlete and how they kind of see themselves and how the coach talks to them, how the other girls respond to that level of competition. Because let's face it, the older they're getting, the more territorial they're becoming. I mean, that's just part of it.
And we're fully aware that from club to club, sometimes this is not your choice, right? Some clubs, especially the bigger clubs, they will not allow you to play in an age group other than where you were supposed to play in your, graduating classification as well. However, there are exceptions, right? There's the July, August birthdays. So our youngest falls into that category where her birthday's in August. So she is always the youngest in her school class and one of the 2 oldest on her volleyball club team. So there's advantages and disadvantages all along there, right? So most of her team is in school a year younger than her. So she's already in middle school. The rest of them are still in elementary school. There's early touches and whatnot. She can't get there because her school gets out later. But at her age and her stage of development right now, she needs to play 11s. Like, I'm not going to skip a year right now so that when she's 18, she can play volleyball. I want to make sure she's getting the most out of this year right now at 11 years old. What does the competition look like? Where is she playing? Where is she developing? For her, she's in the right place. For another kid who's ready for 12s and wants to be in that scenario to be with the other 6th grade, that's great. But for her, she's in the right place for where she needs to be right now with her peers.
Well, we've played with other parents and other players who have done just that, where they decided we're going to have, in one case, their daughter was already in 7th grade. The rest of the girls are in 6th grade because she's just advanced as a student. And so it also didn't hurt that she was, no matter what, like one of the best players on the floor, no matter where she is. She's a great setter. And so you do see at times where, and this is more of a football thing, but it is around. I have a person that I work with where his son reclassified. Basically, they sat him out for a year. Basically went and had him like redo 7th grade. It wasn't because he's an all-A student. It wasn't because he wasn't sharp, but they wanted to make sure that they got the benefits of him being the age with his age group. And so, yeah, there's pros and cons to all of that. And that's, I guess, when it comes to our youngest, right now I think she's right exactly where she needs to be. Now, would I ever say that she's the right kind of person to play up? I don't believe that works for her. I just, the way she is, the way she plays, the way she goes about her business, I think she's better off staying with like the same group of girls in the same age group. Whereas my older daughter, quite honestly, she's just on a different maturity level that when she plays with older players, she seems to get the more out of that because of their level of focus and their level of intensity.
The reclassing thing is just so baffling to me, and I know it's happening more and more, including in volleyball. And typically you have to either leave public school and go to private school or leave private and go to public school in order to get the school system to go along with it. But it's sometimes for academics, but more of the conversations I'm hearing from people are because of athletics.
Well, we saw this with a friend of ours where she, as a 14-year-old, decided she was going to play with the 17s team. And it became like this like cautionary tale because she didn't complete the full season. And I get it. Like, we had a coach that we respect very much that when we informed him that our older daughter was going to play up, he kind of gave us well, sometimes it doesn't always work out. And that's the threat of it, because what happens if we put her in a scenario where, yes, she's now no longer amongst her age peers, she's at her competition level peers, but what if this ends up being the season where now she has to sit the whole time? And so fortunately that hasn't played that way, but I get it. That's a concern because you're trying to put your kid, as we've talked about before, in the best situation, the best competition level possible. But what happens if you put them in something that they're not ready for from a mental standpoint, a physical standpoint, and even just the idea that maybe they have been able to be on a team and never had to worry about their position. They've never had to worry about losing playing time. Well, you start playing with older players, you would imagine sometimes they're better or they're on par with you. Can you then handle that the competition level is going to be different rather than playing with your own age group?
Yeah, the biggest difference from what we've seen is consistency. As you age, your experience, your know-how, you become a more consistent player because you've put in the work and put in the time. If you're willing to continue doing that, then you can continue to compete at that level. And that's the change maker, I think, this year for us. Some of these clubs, they're going to be very transparent with you about where they need spots on their rosters across age groups and where they're looking to put the right mix of girls together. Other clubs, you're completely in the dark. And a lot of us have been there. You're probably listening to this remembering you sit at tryouts and you're just hoping that something good happens because you are completely in the dark and you don't know how the outcome of that 2 hours is going to go. So if you have a little bit more transparency and you understand where your daughter is valued and where she might find the best fit because they're telling you, that's a good fit. And we learned that this year for sure.
That has been, I believe we're going to see more of this, at least in the Atlanta area. A lot of you who are listening, you have had the experience of clubs talking to your child, talking to you, the recruitment process, and then trying to deliver on what they're promising you. That has really not been available in Atlanta for quite a while, and now it's starting to happen, where because of the early period by which we now have tryouts, you have a month to 2 months before you have to sign with someone. And so you can kind of gauge where everything is at. And so I think that's a lot of what parents and athletes, I think, are looking for, is just be transparent with me. Let me know what the plan is that you have. Then I can weigh all those situations. And again, we spent the better part of 7 years where it was always just, here's your position, do this, make the best of it. We're like, okay, sounds good. And that was fine. This was the first year where we kind of saw what's on the other side of the street and went, oh, okay, that's interesting too. Hopefully that's now coming to the entirety of the marketplace because we're hearing more and more clubs that are trying to be as open about what they need, positions, and how they see using your child and how strategically what they believe in.
It comes down to what you as a parent and what your player is willing to tolerate, right? Some people are totally willing to tolerate being the worst player on an amazing team that will go and win all the things, but your player's just along for the ride. Some people are fully willing to tolerate that. Other people are willing to tolerate having your child be the best player on a team that wins nothing, that plays low-level competition, doesn't have it all together.
Doesn't come off the court.
But your kid plays all the time. Maybe that's what you're looking for. You don't need the super competitive aspect of it. You just want to play. That's fine. We have learned about ourselves in the last year. We want to not be the best player on the team. We want everybody to be competitive on the team. We want you to have to earn it. But we want that competitive spirit, and we want to win. So the combo of that is finding a place where the coaches want to win, the players want to win, everybody's bought in. There's no question whether we're going to AAUs at the end of the year because of course we are. We're here. This is how we're wired. If you're the kind of parent who wants that for your kid, those are the questions you have to ask at the beginning of the year. And if that means playing up or staying where you're at, figure it out as you go along.
Well, we had a situation when we were 13 where the coach took 2 setters, and that was how they were going to play it that year. On our next year's team, they took 3. And the current coach that my oldest daughter plays for flat out told us, I'm taking 2 because it's impossible for me to get playing time for 3, and that it's not fair to the families. And for those of you who have ever been the third setter, or you know who that third setter is, you know how hard it is for them to get on the floor. And these kids are working all the same amount of time, and yet they're not getting a chance to show what they can do. And so roster construction is a big deal. I know that for us, we want that high level of competition. At the same time, just as my wife is saying, if she's the best player for her position, great. Last year, her and her buddy were the 2 best outside hitters we had that were scoring, consistently. And then our third outside was really good defensively. And so they all 3 worked together to help each other. That was a great situation for that team. That's where we talk about, I don't have to be the best player on the floor, but you want to be amongst a lot of good players. And I think that's where my daughter thrives, where she knows on a given day, I got it today, give me the ball. Or I don't have it today, somebody here to help me out. I think that's when we have a really good team.
If they're scrappy, all the more.
Oh, I love scrappy.
We learned at our first scrimmage day the other day that we got a scrappy team this year, and it's so fun to watch. So fun.
This team that my oldest daughter is going to be on, they are a group of girls where they'll walk in the gym, and there's a couple of them that'll stand out. You'll be like, okay, wow, look at the size on that girl. Look at the length on that girl. But they're all really good volleyball players. We've got girls where we were thinking to ourselves, well, she's not going to be able to get a block up. Oh, no, she can jump. She can get some blocks up. And so scrappy. Really, it was really difficult for the ball to hit the floor. And so I go back to what you were just saying. The level of what happens when they're older. When they're older, they're so much more consistent. And like her team as a group consistently keeps the ball off the floor. You have to put it down on their heads to score on them. And so I love that aspect of it. And I think that's really what it comes down to. If you have a player who's very consistent, they're probably going to be okay if they play up with different levels. If they're still where you're not sure if the serve's getting in, where they will randomly rocket a ball, they get set and it's flying to the other court, that's the sort of stuff that the older teams don't do very much.
Yeah, and the blocking gets more intense very fast. So you have to be a smart hitter as well if you're on the hitting side of things. And if you're on the defensive side of things, be ready to get the ball hammered at you and know that you can take it.
Well, that was the other part too. I was shocked because again, this was our first exposure to 16-year-old volleyball, and we had a scrimmage, tournament scrimmage, and we were the 16s team. We played two 17-year-old teams and an 18-year-old team. And the amount of blocking and the amount of shot making that was required, where, yes, when the girls were younger, it was put the set on them, let them just smash it home and no problem. They're flying over the defense. Now the defense is there. And now it's reading and what are you showing? And are you tipping in terms of are you showing with your body position in your hand where you're going with the ball? Because that's one of the things that my older daughter has to hide so that the defense doesn't adjust to her as quickly. But she's a 5'8" outside, and she can jump, and she can go over the defense, but her game is more of she's like a pitcher. You don't know what's coming. And so that's how she mixes it up. So it's going to be a fun year. I'm looking forward to it. If we get later in the year and it's turned into, she's not playing a ton and the girls are mean, I'm going to be like, oh, what a bad idea. But so far, they've all gotten along with one another. Some of them have played high school feeder team. Some of them are high school teammates. And so I think that when it came for us for this year, we made the right decision in letting her play with an older age group. Now, then it begs the question, if that team continues to be good, do you play her up again? Because we've had a handful of parents where they started as 15 playing 16. Their whole group of girls went to 17s, so they said fine. And all I've heard, at least from the college recruitment standpoint, is they want to see you with your peers, but they also want to see you with your graduating class at times. So that ends up being the challenge there when our oldest daughter's 2029 playing with a bunch of 2028s.
Yeah, and we'll see how that goes. But knowing that she's getting the competition level, that when she's at that age where she's truly being recruited, when they can actually be making phone calls, we'll make that decision then. But right now, right spot, right time for our kid.
And when it comes to the 11-year-olds, that volleyball is still just fun.
Yeah.
Like, I love when we go to the gym with our 11-year-old team. 10 of the girls are all back who were on the 10s team the year before. And so that it hasn't turned into crazy competition yet. And for those of you parents out there who know crazy competition, you know who it is. There's always somebody in the gym who's like, did you hear she grew like another inch or two? Or did you hear who she's going to train with? Like, that's when it gets oddly competitive. It's just what it is. But you don't deal with that at like 11 and 12, maybe a little bit in 13. But like, these are the good years. This is the fun time right now.
They are all growing like weeds and their feet are growing. And it's hilarious because they look like a different team already than they did at tryouts. And I'm sure by the end of the season, they're all going to grow another 3 inches too. So it's fun to watch. Fun to watch them grow into their own bodies and then also into the sport.
That was the encouraging point from our group chat where the coach was asking for shoe sizes.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have a sponsor for this year, and so we might be getting shoes out of the deal. Now, my kids like their shoes, but whatever. Okay, free shoes, right? I'll take it. When my daughter, or you put it in the group chat, it's like, here's her size, and it was the second biggest on the team. That's where the coaches are like, yeah, now see if you can grow those 3 inches. See if you can turn into this weed by the time that we get to next spring. Can you put another 2 or 3 inches on? We'll see.
Now, the flip side, the not fun part about 11-year-old volleyball, planning food, because all they want to eat is crap. Getting 11-year-olds to eat healthy food is like pulling teeth with tweezers. So that's going to be trial and error this year for sure.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our Chapter 10, the pros and cons of playing up. So why don't you, in the most creative fashion, in the way that you do it, why don't you take us out?
I got a date upstairs.
With Christmas?
Well, that's like my side hustle. No, I have to go finish watching Stranger Things because season 5 is starting and my daughters have told me that I have to catch up before season 5 debuts. So I got to go watch the dogs and all the things.
I want everyone to know we're not even to Thanksgiving yet, and she's already, all of Christmas is out. Every bin that we have of Christmas is already out. So, gentlemen, make the adjustment, okay? If she wants it, just let her have it. You know what? I should get like some bonus points out of that for having Christmas out this early. So you go on your date and we'll go do the thing, and I guess we'll talk to everybody later.
Let me see if Hobby Lobby's still open.
Today is gonna be the day that we run out of cash. Watching every serve and kill, it's a total smash. By now you should have somehow realized what we've lost. Our free time's gone, it's all for volleyball at any cost. I can't believe that anybody feels the way we do about our girls and all those courts we're traveling to. And all the roads we drive, all the states we see. We've been volleyball'd so desperately. I said maybe we're gonna be the ones to cheer them on. We're lost in this volleyball. Backbeat, the word is on the street that we're broke again. Entrance fees for tournaments our girls already in. I'm sure you've heard it all before, but we're at the bar, drinking through the overwhelm. No life beyond this far. Don't believe that anybody feels the way we do about the nets and all the chaos we're stuck into. And all the roads we drive, all the stakes we see. We've been volleyball'd so desperately. I said maybe we're gonna be the ones to cheer them on. We're lost in this volleyball. And all the lights that lead us there are blinding. The hotel nights, the drinks, they keep us finding a way to cope with all this endless grind. Oh, we're trapped, no life outside. And all the roads we drive, all the states we see. We've been volleyball'd so desperately. I said maybe we're gonna be the ones to cheer them on. We're lost in this volleyball. Today was gonna be the day, but we're still here. Volleyball, oh volleyball. I don't believe that anybody feels the way we do